Welcome back to the channel's 784 Evening News. I'm Bob Connor, and this evening's top headlines feature a wild combination of the bizarre and the fantastic. Up first, a cheese-fueled incident over at the newly opened factory. We'll catch you up on that story, and many more interesting happenings from around the world. Next, Anna reports from the Weather Center with details on the record-breaking heat wave decimating Chrome City. Then, onto Old Town District and some mysterious lights in the sky. Plus, an unexpected visitor to the skyline and what caused it. Digging deeper, we have news of a rare underwater species found thriving in our farmland. And finally, a crash from outer space. Tune in now as we take a look at the giant rock that has just hurtled into the atmosphere of a nearby planetoid. We also have the story of crowds gathering to witness the most incredible thing imaginable, a giant statue of a flying cat. All that and more, right now on Channel 784 Evening News. Now, over to Anna with the weather.
Good evening. Elkview, a small town in the northeast corner of the imaginary state, keeps its citizens warm with weather ranging from a low of 22 to a high of 26 degrees, and rain today. In Russiaville, some locals may feel their temperatures stuck in a vice, with a low of 25 and a high of 25 expected today, but the sun should be shining to light up their day. For our intrepid adventurers in the western part of the state in Laurelville, they experience a brisk wind of up to 24 degrees and warm up to 21 degrees during the day. If you pause for a moment in Blessing, a thunderous storm will be sure to greet you. Temperatures are expected to rise from 19 degrees to a 23 degrees max today. Finally, down the coast in Allegan, temperatures will stay nice and stable at 27 degrees, with a gusty wind blowing during the day. And now, back to you, Bob, with today's top stories.
Cheese lovers rejoice as the recently opened factory brings a delightful ruckus of cheese. The factory, located in a rural town outside of the city, offers delicious creations made fresh with locally sourced ingredients. The first of its kind, the factory's groundbreaking cheese-making process has excited the town's inhabitants and visitors alike. Guests can watch creamy delights being molded in the factory's windows in real time. When they're finished, workers package the products to be shipped fresh to people's doorsteps or sold directly in the store next door. Excitement over the factory has only grown since its opening. From grilled cheese sandwiches with special sauces to luxurious cheesecakes, there is something for everyone. The traditional favorites are still served in their full glory, but the locally created flavors add a special twist that everyone loves. Customers rave about the variety of flavors, textures, and combinations available. The factory employees take their craft seriously and strive to make each cheese dish especially memorable. Along with cheese tastings and special classes, this spot has quickly become a favorite among cheese lovers. The industry-disrupting factory is sure to keep riling up the locals and tourists alike. With endless possibilities and delicious creations, the fresh cheese-making facility is the highlight of the town. Chrome City is enduring a relentless and unprecedented heat wave. The temperatures in the city have risen to heights never seen before, and the subsequent effects have been devastating. Citizens are struggling to cope with the oppressive heat, with air conditioners running non-stop and electricity bills skyrocketing to heights never seen before. The days have become increasingly unbearable, and the nights are not offering much respite. People are running out of ways to take shelter from the heat, and even those with access to air-conditioned spaces are feeling the effects of the scorching weather. We shouldn't forget that the heat wave is taking its toll on Chrome City's streets and buildings. The increased temperatures are causing structural damage, melting asphalt, and cracking roads. Homeowners are struggling with dangerously high levels of mold and toxicity in their residences due to the oppressive heat. The surge in temperatures has also caused water levels to drop drastically. Unfortunately, this has resulted in water shortages, leaving many of Chrome City's residents with limited or no access to clean water. This record-breaking heat wave is wreaking havoc on our city. With no relief in sight and temperatures continuing to rise, it seems our situation will only get worse. Unless we take drastic action to mitigate the effects of this heat wave, we can only expect the situation to deteriorate further. Residents of the Old Town District recently experienced a peculiar surprise: mysterious lights in the night sky. While much of the town embraced this unexpected event, others are questioning and doubt it. The reports of lights first came to the attention of authorities when the local police received multiple reports of strange, flashing lights in the sky. A few observers even described an accompanying sound, though it's unclear what the sound actually was. Unfortunately, rumors regarding the source have reached an unpleasant level. Some attribute the lights to UFOs or alien activity, though no evidence exists to support this claim. Meanwhile, other skeptics completely discredit the reports, citing natural phenomena as the most likely cause. It's unclear what the origin of the mysterious lights actually was, and the situation is likely to remain a mystery for some time. This is obviously disappointing news for the many Old Town District residents who had hoped to gain insight into this puzzling event. Regardless, whatever the lights were, there's a clear misconception surrounding them. Any insinuation that they had an extraterrestrial origin is not backed up by facts, which is a disappointment to those of us hoping to uncover local mysteries. What was once a picturesque skyline is now completely ruined. Earlier today, a gigantic watermelon split the skyline in half, with disastrous consequences. Witnesses to the horrifying scene described it as deafening, saying that the watermelon crash caused an immense shockwave that could even be felt miles away. Unfortunately, entire streets have been destroyed and debris can be seen scattered across the landscape. Local authorities have already declared a state of emergency. The residents living in the vicinity of the crash site were evacuated for safety reasons, and the authorities strongly urge the population to remain calm and keep away from the crash area. So far, there has been no sign of the watermelon. It seems that the mysterious fruit managed to escape unharmed. Its whereabouts remain unknown. This incident is a stark reminder of how unprepared we are for disasters of this magnitude. Much more needs to be done to prevent this type of tragedy from occurring again. An astronomical event of epic proportions took place this week, when a giant rock suddenly crashed into Planetoid's atmosphere. This shocking event caused great destruction and left a large debris field. The impact was devastating. According to reports, the giant rock was roughly the size of Earth, and it quickly came crashing to the surface of the planetoid at extreme speed. The crash caused immense destruction to the planetoid, sending shockwaves of dust and rock through the atmosphere. The impact created a large debris field and caused massive destruction to the planetoid's environment. The destruction swept through the planetoid's surface and caused immense destruction, leaving many areas in ruins. The effects of this catastrophic event will be felt for many years to come. The destruction and damage caused by the giant rock cannot be undone. Many areas of the planetoid are now uninhabitable, leaving the planetoid in a state of everlasting destruction. The consequences of this catastrophic event are already being felt, as the planetoid's climate and environment is thrown into turmoil. This monstrous event is not only a tragedy for the planetoid, but also for nearby planets. The impact caused extreme damage to nearby planets, including the destruction of their atmospheres. This could have far-reaching consequences across the galaxy, potentially disrupting the delicate balance of life. In the wake of this awful event, the people of Planetoid are left with a future of uncertainty. Many are without hope and are struggling to rebuild their homes and lives. The destruction caused by the giant rock is immense and will continue to be felt for many years to come. In a shocking discovery, a rare fish has been unearthed in farmland in rural America. The fish, rarely seen below ground and previously thought to be extinct, was discovered in an unexpected setting. However, rather than heralding a breakthrough for conservationists and as a cause for celebration, this new discovery raises serious questions about the state of the environment and raises concerns about the impact of human development and industrial farming on local wildlife. The specimen is a type of blind carassiform fish, which is known to exist only in a few isolated locations across the world, but had never been found underground before. The discovery was made in farmland near the small town of Westmoreland, which is used for grain and large-scale soybean farming. While this surprise find is sure to provide new insight into the world of underground fish, its presence on farmland raises deep concerns about the health of its habitat and the impact humans have on local wildlife. Could large-scale agriculture be pushing rare species to the brink of extinction before they are even discovered? Questions like this need to be answered in order to create a better understanding of the risks posed by human activity and industrial farming to local ecosystems. Without this knowledge, we risk damaging unique and precious ecosystems that may have remained unknown until now. A morbid attraction has been drawing crowds of people to a small city in recent weeks to bear witness to a grotesque statue of a giant flying cat. This massive sculpture, which stands just over 10 feet tall, has been likened to a monstrous creature straight from the depths of a nightmare. The creation of the statue is credited to one unknown, yet highly controversial artist. There is much speculation over the motives behind the artist's decision to build this striking and disturbing piece of art. Not only is it strange in its design and placement, but the artist has gone out of his way to ensure that it is the most visible object in the area. The statue has not been met with the same enthusiasm as it had seen when it first appeared. Many nearby residents have expressed their discomfort over the presence of the sculpture, citing the negative connotations it evokes. Furthermore, some feel that its presence is intrusive, as it seems to have been deliberately designed to intrude on people's daily lives. In spite of these criticisms, the attention the giant flying cat statue has been receiving continues to remain strong. Unfortunately, however, the enthusiasm for the piece has been marred by its dark and unsettling nature, rather than its creative design. This has led to a somber atmosphere surrounding the spectacle that should have been celebrated for its artistry, but instead has been toxic with negative energy instead. Now, let's turn to our discussion between Mike and Ellie, pundits on the topic of cheese creates ruckus at newly opened factory. Mike will take the stance that the factory should be held accountable for their actions, while Ellie will argue that the workers should be held liable. The floor is open and it's time to hear what our pundits have to say.
This is a perfect example of why we need to have stricter regulations on businesses. This cheese factory was allowed to open without proper safety protocols in place, and now this mess has happened. We cannot allow this to happen again.
That's not entirely accurate. The factory was inspected twice before it opened and the necessary safety protocols were in place. The problem here is that the cheese-making process wasn't properly monitored, which allowed for this ruckus to occur. We need to focus on improving the monitoring of businesses, not implementing new regulations.
We can't just rely on the businesses to monitor themselves. We need to have an outside force regulating them to make certain that safety protocols are followed. We can't leave it up to the businesses themselves. They have their own profit motives in mind.
That's true, but there are other ways to ensure safety protocols are followed. For example, there can be more frequent inspections by the authorities or increased fines for businesses that don't comply with safety regulations. That way, businesses will have an incentive to make sure their processes are properly monitored.
That may be true, but it still doesn't address the root cause of the problem. We need to have stricter regulations in place so that businesses can't take advantage of the system. If businesses know that they can get away with not following safety protocols without any consequences, then they will continue to do so.
That's certainly a valid point, but the reality is that many businesses are already following the safety protocols. The problem here is that the cheese factory didn't properly monitor the cheese-making process, which led to this ruckus. We need to focus on improving the monitoring of businesses and ensuring that they are held accountable for their actions.
I understand that, but we can't just rely on businesses to monitor themselves. We need to have an outside force regulating them to make sure that safety protocols are followed. We can't leave it up to the businesses themselves. They have their own profit motives in mind.
But implementing more regulations isn't always the solution. We need to look at other ways to hold businesses accountable, such as increasing fines for non-compliance or having more frequent inspections. We need to focus on improving the system, not just implementing more regulations.
I agree that we need to look at other ways to hold businesses accountable, but we also need to make sure that they are following the safety protocols in the first place. If businesses know that they can get away with not following safety protocols without any consequences, then they will continue to do so. We need to have stricter regulations in place to ensure that businesses are following safety protocols.
That's true, but we also need to make sure that businesses are held accountable for not following safety protocols. We can do this by increasing fines for non-compliance or having more frequent inspections. We need to focus on improving the system, not just implementing more regulations.
I'd like to thank Mike Krockhauser and Ellie Donahue for their passionate debate on the current social issue. Now, we move on to the sports segment, where we'll be discussing the impact of the current COVID-19 pandemic on the upcoming NFL season. After a decade of losing streak, the Tower Sharks are determined to claim back their championship title no matter the cost. They have not only used every method available to make sure they succeed, but have gone far beyond what is expected of any team. Rival teams have noted that the Sharks do not hesitate to bring in illegal tactics and strategies to force their way to the top. They have allegedly even placed bets to sabotage their opponent's performance, which brought about a multitude of problems for other teams in the competition. Many of the other teams in the competition have found it highly unfair that the Tower Sharks are deliberately trying to take the championship from them. Unfortunately, it does not seem anyone is willing or able to stand up to oppose them, leading to the Sharks reclaiming their title. Those who have witnessed the team's behavior have deemed it unacceptable, as the Sharks' tactics are considered suspicious and unethical. Even if they have legitimately earned the title, it's hard to ignore the fact that they're more focused on victory, despite the cost. The championship title may have been given back to the Sharks, but it's not something the team should be proud of given their actions. At the end of the day, all teams should be competing in a fair and honorable manner, not using any unethical tactics to get ahead. The Cannon Knights have been riding a wave of seemingly unstoppable success recently, setting a record-breaking winning streak that stretches back an entire season. This stellar performance is being celebrated by the team, their rabid fan base, and the town they represent, but many are beginning to worry that this streak can't last forever, and it may all eventually crash down. The streak has made the Cannon Knights a hot commodity, and every night the stadium is filled with die-hard fans eager to cheer the team on to yet another victory. Ticket prices have skyrocketed, much to the delight of the team's owners, but it is not all fun and games. The pressure on the team to continue their winning streak has reached an all-time high, and the pressure can be seen in the performances of the players. The team appears to be chasing individual accolades instead of a team victory, causing its chemistry to suffer. Even more concerning is the lack of humility that some of the players have shown. Many have become heavily reliant on the winning streak to carry them forward, losing sight of the hard work and dedication that it took to create the streak in the first place. All streaks eventually end, and when the Cannon Knights' winning streak does end, what will be left for them to lean on? Moreover, if the team continues to put individual accolades ahead of team success, their newfound success may also be short-lived. In a disappointing turn of events at the final match of the year, the Frisbee Crows outplayed their rivals and claimed the victory. This bitter ending to the season has left fans feeling disappointed and dejected, as many had been eagerly anticipating a different winner. The competition was fierce, and the Frisbee Crows, while expected to put up a good fight, weren't the fan favorites. Their opponents had earned a loyal following throughout the season, garnering plenty of encouraging shouts from onlookers. Unfortunately, try their hardest, these teams could not surpass the skill and determination of the Frisbee Crows. The match was intense, with the Frisbee Crows pushing hard to keep the upper hand, scoring shot after shot. Despite their rivals' best efforts to hold them off, the Frisbee Crows proved an unstoppable force and easily overtook their opponents, with the final score in their favor. It was a shame to see the loyal fans of the rival team suffer an undeserved loss, as the match was close and could have been taken either way. The Frisbee Crows, while delivering a convincing performance, had the advantage of their home crowd rooting them on and, in the end, had the upper hand. The end of the year came with a thud, as the Frisbee Crows claimed a victory that left fans feeling sour and discontent. With the triumph of the Frisbee Crows, the final match of the year turned out to be a disappointment. Thank you for tuning into Channel 784's news program. This is Bob Connor, wishing you all a great day.